Hello everyone. So I'm shooting 200 yards today with the Sig MCX. This one chambered in 300 blackout. So I've been going back and forth with the rifle, having it slung over my back, setting up my targets, walking all the way back here, and just to get a feel of what it's like to move through the woods with it. Okay, because if you're just shooting on a two-dimensional range, right, like on a flat range, you're not going to get a sense of that. So the first thing that stands out is that this gun is a lot heavier than your standard AR-15. Okay, so this is a 16-inch barrel. It's more front heavy. So that's the first thing that's going to stand out, and that's the first thing that you're going to feel. You're not going to care so much whether it's a direct impingement or piston driven, which this is. That's not going to matter so much to you when you're moving around in the woods. Okay. Other thing that stands out is that it's more front heavy because, first of all, it's got a much bigger rail over here to accommodate the piston that's in there. So yeah, there's so it's just a lot more bulk with more of the weight out front. And the other thing that really stands out to me is I hate the stock. Okay, I use the triangle stocks, where I basically have like a bag rider where I can slide the bag back and forth on this, and to get like the perfect elevation. And I'm really struggling trying to get this bag right, and you're gonna see me like trying to like puff it up, because normally wherever the bag lands I can just roll the gun forward or back. I can't do that with this stock. Okay, and the issue with this is that I don't think you can just change this stock out, or if you can, it's going to be really expensive. You can't just go buy whatever a $25 to $50 Magpul stock and throw it on here. Okay, so let's take some shots and see how we do. So one of the most realistic things that you're going to have in the wintertime is a dust cover, because there's like little snow flurries coming down. So, you make use of it when you're outdoors in the wintertime, so you don't get like snow and stuff in there. So I'm using a Magpul sling, which I do not love. And I've been also working with the Vickers ones. I do not love them either. I'm going to do a separate review on that. So I could see that the wind was blowing to the right. I could see the snow flurries were actually blowing to the right, so I held in the left corner. I did shoot this earlier, and my shots were to the right, so the zero might be a little bit off. This is the first time I'm shooting this at 200 yards today, so let's go down there. Let's see how we're doing with this. I'm going to say that regardless how well I do, I have hit 1.5 inches, which I can shoot half MOA to 1 MOA. So it might be the ammo. I only have like two different types of 300 blackout to work with: the American Eagle and the Freedom Munitions. Right now we're shooting the American Eagle. All right, everyone, I'm coming up on the targets, and I can see it's pretty decent, I think. Now we are shooting, like, it's windy, it's cold, a little uncomfortable here today with a couple of different things. Hold on, let me get this tape measure open. All right, so we fired 5 shots. Let's see what we did. Actually, maybe we didn't do so good. Got 4 here at 5 inches. So that's 2.5 MOA. And where the, oh, there it is. One of the shots went up way up there. So that's about, ooh, stay open. Sorry guys, about 9.5 inches out. I'm gonna say that one, and this is something I always do, right? I'm not just playing favoritism here. I normally take the best 4 out of 5. Sometimes I happen to get 5 out of 5 good, but I'm gonna say that was me, or maybe bad ammo, right? Because this isn't match ammunition. So the 4 out of 5 at 5 inches for 2.5 MOA. You know what? Given the wind and shit that's we're dealing with today, it's cold, like 27 degrees. Yeah, that's pretty good. And like I said, I have hit 1.5 inches with this. Okay, using that same ammunition. It's 150 grain American Eagle. Okay, so yeah, at least now I was holding up here, way up here in that right corner, because when I shot it earlier, that's the ones with the circles here. I went 1, 2, 3, and then the other ones must have went out there somewhere. The last time I shot this, I was center at 100 yards. So I don't know if the wind's jerking me around today, but this is giving me an idea of the bullet drop, right? Because I think I have a 50-yard zero. I might have gone like maybe plus 1 inch or something like that to accommodate for the 300 blackout, which is slower, even slower than an AK-47 round. So I was holding in that corner here because I saw the impacts over here. So I was holding in this corner right here. The circle was about that big, and it dropped them right there. So I'm not changing the zero on the red dot. I'm going to say wind or something. I'll have to confirm it on a couple of days in a row before I make any changes. But this does give me an idea of the type of bullet drop. And I did a separate video as far as the 300 blackout. It's not an AK-47 round. It's not a 7.62 by 3.9 for an AR-15. It has at least 200. The ones I tested had about 200 foot-pounds of energy less. All right, so I think they were coming in at about 1,100 foot-pounds at a 16-inch barrel, and I was shooting steel truck rims, right? Steel rims. The 16-inch AK-47 was able to penetrate it in both the 16-inch and the 10-inch. Okay, the 16-inch 300 blackout with 2 different types of ammunition that I tested could not penetrate it. Okay, the 223 out of a 16-inch barrel was able to penetrate that same rim. Okay, so your 223 is going to give you better penetration if you're trying to if you're trying to go through stuff, right? In this case, a steel rim. So don't think that the 300 blackout is just as good as an AK-47 round. Okay, if anything, I made a joke in the video. I basically said that the 300 blackout is like an AK round, but for girls. Okay, so keep that reality in mind. Now, maybe they sell really hot 300 blackout loads out there, but I think that's going to be more of the exception. All right, we're gonna take another 4 shots, because 4 shots is all I had on me. Okay, so this is what we're shooting. We're shooting this American Eagle 150 grains. So I only had 4 shots left out here with me, so that's what we're gonna take. Whip this thing around. So this is the Magpul sling. One of the things I don't love is that this loosens up in the opposite direction. You gotta pull it towards you. Okay. Now, I was talking about the weight. Well, first of all, let's talk about this sling. Yeah, one of the things that with this particular Magpul sling is I wish it was a little bit longer, and I wish this came a little further back, because right now it's like I don't have enough slack to really do a left side transition, right? I don't have enough slack. I would have to loosen it up significantly. However, when I slide the fast loop down, right, it's actually it's not so much loose over here, although I would like it a little bit tighter. But when I throw it over my back, it's really loose. So this bounces around too much, so I'm not able to find that perfect balance between, like, you know, where it's loose enough to do like a left side transition without swimming out of the swim, right? You know, because I don't want to have to take my arm out of it to go to the left side, okay? So I can't get it loose enough to do a left side transition, but I can't get it tight enough to sling it over my back and be able to bounce through the woods, okay, without it flopping all over the place. And part of the reason is because the way this is set up, this is as far back as it goes, right? That's as far back as it goes. It doesn't go any further like some of the other fast loop slings I have. Like I got one from Tactical Pro Sports. It's actually cheaper. It's like $13. But that first of all, it loosens up when I throw it down, and that's able to slide all the way up. So I have a lot more flexibility. I'm going to do a separate video on that, but since it's on the rifle, I wanted to kind of demonstrate, because that's one of the really important things as you're moving around the woods. You got to have a comfortable sling that's gonna work for you. Okay, so yeah, this stock, I mentioned it earlier, this is not working great for me with the bag, because I like having a triangle here where I can ride the bag up and down and get that perfect elevation. And I'm spending a lot of time just trying to puff the bag up, you know, to get the right height. All right, let's take some shots with this. So we're holding high left. This scope is a Sig, I think it's the Romeo 7. It's wreaking havoc, like astigmatism havoc. Like usually with the hollow suns, I don't have an issue with the dot like being all bent out of shape, where I can move it a little bit out of my, and I get a crisp circle. With this, I'm having a hard time getting a crisp circle. So I'm gonna say this: the 300 Blackout is nice. I mean, it's got like very low recoil. Despite this being a piston gun, the recoil is very, very, you know, very light. Piston guns tend to have a lot more recoil, because the piston that's in here only moves about an inch. So that piston only has like 1 inch. Like it has to hammer the bolt carrier and send it back. So it has to impart all that energy in such a short space, versus like a direct impingement. It has a lot more time to push gas through the system, you know, and it's a lot more, you know, it's more spread out. Okay, so usually with piston guns, you got, you know, the recoil is a little bit sharper. But I think what's going on here is we got a pretty heavy gun. I gotta weigh this. We got a pretty heavy gun push, you know, and a pretty light bullet, right? Well, the bullet itself is not light, it's 150 grains, but the powder inside the cartridge is pretty light. And I think that's just standard for 300 Blackout. So the recoil is really light on this gun. Feels, like I said, 300 Blackout is like AK-47, but for girls. Okay, close my dust covers here. So this is as far forward as I can, and like I said, there's still too much slop here, so I really don't like the mag hole sling that much, but that's a separate video. Let's go down and look at the target. All right, so let's take a look and see what happened here. All right, so this time we shot 4 shots, and I can see I was holding up here, and I see this time they actually dropped in the same line. So earlier when they were pushing to the right, that was probably wind. Okay, so my zero is good. So we got 1, 2, 3. I forgot my tape measure. I gotta look at it. These 3 look really good. This one over here got blown way out. So I don't know if I took a 5th one. That's why I like to take 5 shots. But actually, let me go get a tape measure. All right, so we got the tape measure. So these 3 shots here are about 3¼ inches. So that's just a little bit bigger than 1.5 MOA. Well, like I said, I know I hit 1.5 MOA at 100 yards, so that doesn't surprise me. And then that one out there, you know, like I said, that could have been the wind. That's open to almost 8¼ inches. That one over there. I mean, today, I mean, it's you know, it's not the best weather to be shooting, but you know, it's actually good to. Well, you know, it is good weather to be shooting. I mean, any shooting is good shooting, but the point is that, you know, there's more challenges that we have to overcome, like the wind and just walking through the snow that's on the ground over the 200 yards back and forth is more tiring. So this is like probably like a more realistic, you know, like this is realistic shooting. You know, you just gotta deal with the weather, wherever it is, man. Make the best of it, you know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I am pretty sure that with good ammunition, right? Not target ammunition, like match ammunition, I'm sure that this is a 1 MOA gun, right? Just based on having hit 1.5 inches a couple of times with target ammunition. Okay, but like I said, I really can't. I don't like the stock, and I don't know if there's any other options that are available. I prefer the triangle one. I mean, for me, the side folding thing really, you know, doesn't do anything for me. I don't side fold the stocks. I did a previous. I'm going to do another video on this, but one of the things that you know, this has a spring over the recoil spring, and this is kind of connected to the bolt carrier, and I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as the buffer spring that's in the tube. Okay, I don't think I've ever heard of an AR-15 buffer spring breaking. Okay, I'm sure it's happened. I mean, you know, I mean, there's probably under the snow here, under the ground, there's probably about 100,000 rounds that I have, you know, that I have shot. Right, and then at other locations, I've supervised other people having shot hundreds of thousands of rounds. I've never seen an AR-15 buffer spring break. Okay, that spring in there, that's over the bolt carrier, that looks like a point of vulnerability. In fact, I've broken AK-47 springs. Okay, so the AK-47 spring, which is smaller than the AR-15 buffer spring, you know, I've broken AK springs. Right, it took something like 10,000 rounds, but I broke it. I mean, I shot out the barrel on one AR-15. I think that went to 22,000 rounds. Never had a problem with that. I think I shot out the barrel on, on a 9mm AR. You know, the buffer spring was still good. Okay, so that buffer spring is a point of vulnerability, in my opinion.